You know, the mortgage industry is a total battleground. And for the smaller, independent lenders, it's getting harder and harder to keep up. But what if they could suddenly get their hands on the same powerful tech as the big guys? Well, one company is stepping up to make that possible. And honestly, it could completely change the game. Let's dig into Cardinal Financial's big strategic play. And that right there is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? If you're an independent lender, you're always feeling the heat to be faster, to be more efficient, and to be more reliable. But how do you actually get that edge, especially when you're going head-to-head with the giants of the industry? And this quote from Carl Benjamin over at Cardinal Financial, this really hits the nail on the head. You gotta pay attention to his keywords here: reliability and efficiency. He's not just throwing around buzzwords. He's pointing to the real-world need for better support, better visibility, and faster automation. These are the exact pain points that Cardinal is setting out to fix. Okay, so what is this big solution they're putting on the table? It all comes down to a new kind of partnership, one that's been designed from the ground up to tackle the very challenges we've been talking about. It's called the Non-Delegated Correspondent Program. I know, it sounds a little technical, right? But the idea behind it is pretty revolutionary. It's a model that could give independent lenders the kind of firepower they need to compete on a whole different level. So you're probably wondering, how does this thing actually work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and demystify the mechanics behind this tech-powered approach. So what in the world is a non-delegated correspondent? The best way to think about it is like this. The smaller lender is still the star of the show. They're the ones finding the clients, building those local relationships, and originating loans under their own name. But behind the scenes, they get to plug right into Cardinal Financial's massive engine. We're talking their technology, their processes, their operational muscle. It's kind of like getting the best of both worlds.
So check out this workflow. It's actually genius when you break it down. The independent lender gets to focus on what they do best: connecting with people and originating loans. Then all that complicated, time-sucking back-end stuff gets handed off to Cardinal's tech platform, Octane. What does that mean for them? Less overhead, way faster processing, and a much smoother ride for the borrower. It's a win-win.
Now, you might think this program just came out of nowhere, right? A sudden move. But nope, it's actually the grand finale of a very deliberate long-term plan. If you look back at what Cardinal's been up to lately, a really clear picture starts to form. Just look at this timeline. You can literally watch the strategy play out. Back in mid-2025, they rolled out Cardinal Complete, basically offering up their loan processing services. A few months later, they expanded into non-QM loans. That's for folks who don't have a simple 9-to-5 paycheck. Think freelancers or small business owners. And now, this program is the final piece of the puzzle, offering their entire tech platform as a service. See? Each step logically builds on the last, creating this whole ecosystem of support. And if you're still wondering if they can pull this off, well, the numbers don't lie. $1.59 billion. That's their loan volume in just the last 9 months. This isn't some startup with a cool idea. This is a heavyweight with the resources to really make a dent in the industry. This shows you they have the muscle to really shake things up. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, because this is so much bigger than just one company launching a new program. The real story here, the thing that really matters, is all about innovation. And this is the real takeaway here. You see, Cardinal is basically shifting its identity. They're not just a lender anymore. They're becoming a tech company that also does lending. They're not just selling mortgages, they're selling a technological advantage. And in doing that, they're pretty much forcing the whole industry to up its tech game. And look, this whole commitment to pushing the envelope, it's not just corporate talk. They actually just did something that has never been done before in the entire history of the mortgage market. Okay, again, this is going to sound a little technical, but trust me, this is a huge deal. They were the very first to issue a mortgage-backed security. You know, that's when a bunch of home loans get packaged together and sold off to investors, using the brand new FICO 10T credit model. By being the first to use a more advanced, more accurate scoring system, they're proving they're not just adopting new tech, they're leading the charge. That's not just keeping up with technology, that's being on the absolute bleeding edge. It's what a true fintech pioneer looks like. So where do we go from here? As that line between finance and technology gets blurrier and blurrier, you have to wonder what's next for the whole mortgage industry. What Cardinal is doing, it's a huge sign of what's coming, a future where tech could make buying a home faster and easier for everybody. The real question now is, who's going to make the next big move?